Very much, everybody. Thanks for coming out this evening. I trust all of you have voted that are of age. Just checking.
You have to have your sticker to get in.
I'd like to call to order the regular Board of Education meeting, May 21st, 2019, at 7:30 at the Sarah Noble Intermediate School Library. Our first order is the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief moment of silence, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I hate calling it the first order of business, but the second thing on our agenda is recognition, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Tracy.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to recognize and bring up our music leaders, David Sesdek and Diane Taylor. They're going to assist in recognizing a number of very deserving students in the music program. Welcome. Congratulations. Thank you. You have helped these kids good. Thank you. So just before we call up all the students, just a little background. First of all, thank you to the Board of Education and the administration of New Milford Public Schools for taking the time to recognize the achievements of our students in music. All the students that are going to be called up here have auditioned for and been selected to participate in one of various CMEA, that's Connecticut Music Educators Association's music festivals around the state. We are in the northern region, and so all of them participated in at least the Northern Region Festival in either one of four ensembles: band, orchestra, chorus, or jazz band. And then there's another level, Connecticut All-State Festival, that happens in Hartford every year. And we had a few students go on to audition and make that. And then this year, it's an every other year festival. It's the All-Eastern Festival, and that covers states from Maine down to Virginia. And so they take the best students from each all-state ensemble and make the best of the best, All-Eastern. And this year, we were very lucky to have one of our students selected to participate in that. So just the time and the energy that the students have to put in to preparing and practicing for the audition is tremendous. And all of it happens outside of the classroom. It's not like we take part of the day and teach the songs to them. They're taking private lessons, they're practicing on their own. And so they do a lot of hard work for what they got here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sesdek, and thank you again for recognizing these students who have worked so hard. Music is such an important part of their lives, and we appreciate you recognizing them for it. So the students that made the chorus for Northern Regions are Joshua Abel, who is at work, so he was not able to make it tonight. Maddie Villepara. I know she's here somewhere. Come on up, Maddie.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Brian, I'm not sure that Brian is here right now, but
Okay.
Brian here is also recognized. Next is Madison LaFontaine.
Quick picture here.
Thank you. Chloe Honorato.
Congratulations. So we're going to take a quick picture with you.
Thank you. Okay, great. And Christina Honorato. all-state participant.
Wow. Excellent.
Before I hand it off to Mr. Sizdek, I do want to let you know, we actually shared a student this year. We had a student who auditioned on both voice and his instrument for regionals and all-state. For regionals, he made both, and he had to make a decision, so he chose band, okay? And then for all-state, he sang in the all-state chorus, and that's Ryan McNulty.
Wow.
Brian, congratulations.
Oh, you take that. Right. Okay, next for the Northern Region Band, Jess Burton. And Matt Hassett. Justin Howard.
Justin, what do you play? Good for you.
Alan Leon.
Nice going out. Congratulations.
Sarah Morris.
Congratulations, Sarah. Nice job.
Eliza Peary.
Congratulations. What do you play?
Hannah Spinner. Corey Woolley. Great job, Corey.
Congratulations.
The next two students not only made the region band, but also the all-state band. First, we have Terrell Williams.
Congratulations. Very musical family, huh?
And Connor Stahl. Connor also does the shot put.
What do you play?
Play the drums.
All right.
And our last student not only made the region band, the all-state band, but also was one of about 12 students selected from the entire state of Connecticut to participate in the all-eastern band, Nick Cavuto.
All right.
And that's everybody.
Congratulations. All right. And next, we're going to move to our monthly Star Awards. And this time, I'm going to read the statements first before I name them, so that your applause does not drown out their accomplishments. So, this first person is described by the person who nominated them as the ultimate professional. She manages the preschoolers, testing for students in and out of her classroom, details with each child and their parents, and has an ever-present warmth about her. She never appears overwhelmed with her work, and her feedback to parents and students is above and beyond. Please congratulate Gail Berger, Northville Elementary School. Stick around. This individual serves Hill and Plain and Northville as our K-2 literacy coach. She does a thoughtful job of sharing content with our teachers and staff in a way that broadens their literacy knowledge and experience. She is solution-oriented and meets teachers where they are in their readiness to receive new content and support professional development. Please congratulate Kate DeBarber. I'm not sure if Kate is here. I heard she was ill today, but let's applaud for her anyway. She might be wrong. This person is described as an excellent teacher. She motivates children to reach their full potential. She is so dedicated to teaching our youngest minds. I really appreciate her hard work and dedication. Please congratulate Sarah Devine, Hilton Plain School. Our next nominee provides multiple opportunities for students to be engaged and enriched in science instruction within the classroom environment through her use of the latest technologies, hands-on applications, science labs, and student discussions. She frequently stays late to meet with students and genuinely meet students where they are as a guide to each towards success in 8th grade science. Please congratulate Kim Foss of the Schaghticoke Middle School. This person has a wonderful vision for the library media space and most importantly has high expectations for all of her students. She has transformed the Sarah Noble Library and made it a vibrant hub for learning. Please congratulate Mary Lavoie of the Sarah Noble School. Mary. And finally, this person exhibits professionalism, compassion, respect, and responsibility. She works well with all staff members and students, willingly going the extra mile to help in whatever way she can. Please congratulate Nancy Mowry from the New Milford High School. Now, have we accounted for the fact that one of us is not here tonight?
Yes, we have.
We have. Okay.
Well, 20% chance.
All right. Well, if you've seen this show before, you know that each of you will get this little jewelry box, and inside of it is a star. But if also inside of yours is a smiley face, you get to drive around a very fancy car from Ingersoll Motors for the coming month. So pick your choices, and then when the chairman counts to 3 or says whatever the magic words are, we'll all open them at once and see who the car winner is.
Oh, I got one too. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right. There you go.
We're gonna do
Yeah, do we have the,
She's not here.
Tracy's not with us tonight? Okay. I will thank Tracy O'Connor in her absence, the representative from Ingersoll, who is typically here to join us in making these presentations. I'll find another time to express our appreciation to Ingersoll. So congratulations to you all, and thanks for being here tonight, and especially for being here for our kids. Nancy? We have to have a group shot now. Come on back.
And, yeah, all right. And we will have a very brief recess. Please join us up here for some refreshments, and congratulations to everyone. Thank you, everybody.
Joe's right there.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, at this time, we'll entertain any public comment. We do have a 3-minute time limit to be allocated to each speaker. And the board may, by a majority vote, cancel or adjust these time limits. If a member of the public comments about the performance of an employee or a board member, whether positive, negative, or neutral, and whether named or not, the board shall not respond to such comments unless the topic is an explicit item on the agenda and the employee or the board member has been provided with the requisite notice and due process required by law. Similarly, in accordance with federal law pertaining to student confidentiality, the board shall not respond to or otherwise discuss any comments that might be made pertaining to students. Do we have anybody?
At this point, we do not have anybody signed up.
I went through all that?
Well, then, Nestor, we'd like to hear from you.
Wonderful voice, so.
Okay, I will open it up. If anybody did not sign up and would like to speak, you are certainly at liberty to do so. And I'll be sensing none. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the PTO.
Hello. We are finally in the home stretch, but still busy. Earlier this month, all the PTOs honored our hardworking staff with different celebrations for Teacher Appreciation. PTO also recognized our wonderful bus drivers for the safe transportation of our students with gift cards from Dunkin' Donuts. The K-8 schools are gearing up for all of the celebrations for the classes moving up to the next school. Plans for 2nd grade and 5th grade send-off celebrations and the 8th grade ice cream social are all in the works. Yearbooks will be coming soon, and students will be receiving pre-ordered copies in a few weeks. The PTOs always have extra copies for sale. K-5 PTOs are also helping the PE teachers get ready for field day. Sarah Noble will be holding a Secret Life of Pets 2 movie fundraiser at Bank Street on June 9th. The Northville PTO hosted author Karen Kaufman-Orloff last week, and all students enjoyed presentations by Miss Orloff. Northville will be hosting Touch a Truck again this year on June 7th. Hill and Plain will host a family fun night event in conjunction with the art teacher for an art exhibit. And the Hill and Plain PTO is also busy working on their end of the year slideshow for all of the students. Scatticoke PTO held a glow dance for 6th grade. They are also getting ready to hold a Penny Wars fundraiser. The students always enjoy the competition with other grades. They will also be holding a movie night at Bank Street for the new Godzilla movie. The high school PTO helped to bring local author Vesper Stamper, who spoke to students about her novel, What the Night Sings, which is now being used as part of the curriculum in some classes at New Milford High School. Ms. Stamper was also providing workshops this afternoon about the writing and illustrating process in general. The high school PTO is also assisting Mr. Shagru again this year to provide volunteers and breakfast for the senior picnic at Harrybrook Park on June 7th. Camilla's Cupboard is getting ready to start up their summer lunch bunch registrations to combat food insecurity in the summer months. Grad Party is in its 25th year. They are still in need of volunteers to decorate and monetary donations to cover the cost of new fire retardant materials. The PTO will be awarding scholarships to 11 seniors in the amount of $1,000 each at Senior Scholarship Night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy.
Okay. And Craig and Elizabeth.
Good afternoon.
Hope everyone's doing well. The specialty awards night was Wednesday, May 15th.
Today was actually the Tiny Tights preschool graduation. We got to say goodbye to all the little kids. It was a little bit sad, but they're going to kindergarten, most of them, and we were happy to see them grow as much as we did.
Today was also the health fair within the school where many local businesses came to educate the students and some teachers that came down about how to go on about a healthier life. And a bouncy house obstacle course was brought in, and it was a great way for students to see how activity affected the heart rate before and after, because it was monitored before going through it. Oof. Tomorrow is also the National Honor Society, and it's their annual blood drive, and I believe we have 63 teachers and students signed up to give blood.
So senior scholarship night, as mentioned, is May 29th. Senior banquet is May 30th, and the day after we have the senior trip to Six Flags. There's also coming up June 3rd, the Know Before You Go assembly for seniors hosted by the Danbury Women's Center, just to educate seniors about what to expect in college and everything. And most of us are actually looking forward to it because we would like to be more educated towards that.
The CNA students are preparing for our test on June 6th to see if we can get our certification and go on and start working. And wish us luck.
Yeah, wish us luck. And have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we'll have a presentation for the Food Nutrition Services Program.
Folks, this is Sandra Sullivan, who directs the program, and I believe you've gotten a written report from her previously, and she's here tonight to highlight that and answer your questions. Welcome, Sandra.
Okay, so I'm here to give you an overview of the Food and Nutrition Services Department, to let you know that all the New Milford Public Schools participate in the National School Breakfast Program and the National School Lunch Program. And because we participate in these USDA programs, we receive federal and state funding for the district, for the program. We operate on our own self-sustaining fund, which is separate from the general fund. To give you an overview of our menu offerings, we make sure that we have all of our meals that are prepared on site at every school. Nothing is satellited and bought in. We prepare everything. Everything is baked, fresh as possible. We procure products locally when we are able to do that, and that is can be done by myself or people at the state level. We have a selection of different menus at each school, depending on the grade level, less at the elementary school, where we have approximately about 6 choices for the students to pick from every day, and at the middle school, 8 choices, and when they get up to the high school, 9 choices. The menus are in your packet, so if you have any questions regarding what we do offer, we don't like parents to have to print out a lot of sheets of paper, so we really try to keep it condensed, but if you look at the menus and it says the rainbow fruit and vegetable tray, what we do with that particular item is our USDA regulation says that all students who do take a lunch have to have a fruit or a vegetable with it, and that's a requirement. And so in order to help the students make a easier choice, we offer 5 fruits and 5 vegetables every day on the menu. As far as our staffing goes, we have 32 food service employees in the district, 1 administrative assistant, and myself. And again, all of the salary and benefit costs are paid through our self-sustaining fund. So basically at the high school, we have 11 staff members, Schaghticoke 7, Sarah Noble 8, and then the 2 elementary schools, 3 at each school. We are inspected, all the kitchens are inspected by the New Milford Health Department 3 times per year. Our last inspection we had was done in February 2019, and I am very proud to say that we do receive consistently high scores every time. To point out, of our staff members, approximately 80% of them do voluntarily take a food safety and sanitation class that's 8 hours and have to pass a test. And so that type of training does help to contribute to the high scores that we do get each time. As far as our participation and our pricing, we serve approximately 2,200 lunches per day and 200 breakfasts per day. There is no plan for a price increase for the 19-20 school year. The last time we did have a price increase was approximately about 2013, where we went up 10 cents at that time. So I am happy to say that we've had, by keeping the, putting things out to bid, making sure we keep waste to a minimum, that we really are able, keeping our staffing in line with what USDA recommends, that we're able to keep our pricing low for families. So basically, right now, K to 5, where it's charging $2.35 for a lunch, and at the secondary level, it's $2.60 per lunch. Reduced price lunches are set by USDA, and those are 40 cents per lunch, and then obviously there's no charge for free students. We do have a deli meal at the high school and at the middle school, where we do have Boar's Head meats that we bring in, and we charge a little bit of an upcharge for that particular meal. As far as our free and reduced statistics go, we have approximately 933 students in the district that qualify for free lunches and 267 students that qualify for reduced. Those statistics are as of March 2019, and that's about 32% of the students in the district. Last year at this time, in March 2018, we were about 10% lower, and the reason for that is we are participating in a demonstration project that the government is running, and Connecticut was chosen to be part of that project. So Medicaid students have been added into the free and reduced population, and so that's why our percentage has gone up 10% in the last year. I do not know how long the program will last, but we're just continuing with it. The nutrition department is also evaluated by the state. We have an administrative review conducted every 3 years. Our last review was conducted in 2016, and we did have an excellent review. The comments, I believe, were put in your packet in Exhibit E, and we did get an excellent rating. I am proud also to say that the state has asked myself be a resource for other directors in the state to prepare and asked to come speak at their trainings to prepare other districts for preparing for a review, because we did so well. I expect our next administrative review will be done in school year 1920. And as far as our finances, I think Anthony was going to speak to that.
So Sandra did a good job of, as the director, of discussing what the program offers as far as an overview and its successes. I certify each month the monthly reimbursement claim for free and reduced lunch, as well as the yearly financial report, which is page 8 of 9 in your packet, and the last page, page 9, which is from our audit report from Mahoney Sable, who audits our general fund, also audits food services as well. So I think we're going to open it up for questions, and any of the financial related questions I could help answer, and Sandra can hopefully tackle most of the ones pertaining to the program.
Page 9 of 9, and thank you for all of this information, it's extremely helpful. Page 9 of 9, on the report, Anthony, are all of these areas, they're in the self-sustained arena, in other words, school cafeteria funds, special education grants, those all fall to the bottom line, meaning 923,812, 2,147, and do you take those numbers and is that the entire account in entirety, or am I misreading that?
So I provided this page just for the school cafeteria fund. I can't speak to any of the other
It has
funds here.
nothing to do with the school cafeteria fund, so I just want to make sure, okay.
Right.
Okay.
But this is where it's captured on the audit, so the 923,000.
Oh, sure, because it's the town account, okay.
Right,
That,
remains in that school, but was the balance in there
Yep.
as of that date of the audit.
just the last question on that. years past, we had, or I think we had brought to the board a capital plan or some kind of capital expenditures through your account. Was it the kitchen supplies or something of that nature? Do you remember some kitchen equipment that came out of this account?
Or something, didn't you? We did have kitchen equipment that came out of this account. We've replaced a good number of old pieces of equipment throughout the
Exactly.
district, and a few of the, most of the serving lines at this point.
And to that point, it was, first of all, it was fantastic because it obviously didn't come out of the operational budget, and you were able to do that and upgrade the equipment. Do you foresee any other capital expenditures that you're going to be, I don't see a capital expenditure piece here.
There will be capital expenditures, so if you go back to the previous page,
Right.
page 8 of 9,
Yeah,
the line item F, third or fourth up from the bottom, matches that 923.
Correct.
031. So that
Right.
what we certified at the state as of June 30th matches our local independent auditor report. If you go down 2 more lines, it shows, as per the state, we need to maintain 3 months of operating expenses, which is the 518, 521,
Right.
26. And the remainder is the excess balance. So that gets into that 404.
Right.
So once the state identifies an excess balance, Ms. Sullivan needs to submit a plan to spend
That's where I'm
it down
going.
onto the state.
Thank you.
So she submits that plan, it gets approved by the state, and we continually spend that money down. But the board does not currently see those items
That's correct.
that come through here. But they've been mostly spent on recently the serving line upgrades, and there will be more serving line upgrades
Exactly.
continuing through the district.
thank you.
I'd just like to say, wow, you've come a long way since I was in high school. I mean, the choices you
Was she here
have,
when you were in high school?
the choices that you have, I think, in staying in, for all the children throughout the grade levels is something that's
Yeah.
truly remarkable and commendable.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
to be self-sustaining is quite a trick in this day and age, particularly in where you are, because I do know of districts that have to come to the boards of education asking for money to balance out the year. So, thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Angie?
Could we get a copy of the plan to spend that down when that's done?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then Sandra, I have a couple questions. So if I heard you correctly, we serve 2,200 lunches a day and 200 breakfasts. How do we increase our breakfast?
Well, right now, the
Participation.
efforts that we're making to,
Couldn't think of the word.
That's okay. We're dual actors.
the efforts we're making to increase the breakfast is, we have it advertised on the menu. We have it in the packet, the welcome packet that goes home to the students at the beginning of the school year. And then when a parent gets a approval letter for free or reduced lunch, they'll also be notified that they can get free or reduced breakfast at that time. So that's the efforts that we've made so far. I could say, I think there's a time issue.
I was just going to say, in your estimation, is it a scheduling kind of thing that there's not enough
It
time?
definitely is, it is. I think at the secondary schools, I think it's a matter of maybe time on the bus before students are allowed to come into the buildings, and it really gives very little time for students to visit the cafeteria. So I think that may be a timing and scheduling issue. But again, we've, as I said, advertised, we let parents know, every staff is trained when they talk to any guardian or parents that are eligible for free or reduced, or paid, that they can come into the cafeteria in the morning. So we were making those type of efforts, but we haven't increased our numbers dramatically.
And then my other question is, what's our policy for lunch charges? So like if a student gets up to the line and has so many, what happens?
So presently, students given the meal without any questions asked. Okay. And
And that's K through 12?
that's K through 8. And then at the high school level, I believe the policy was set probably, I'm estimating about 5 years ago. So yes, K through 8, there is no questions asked, and just notifications are sent directly home to a parent. And at the high school level, they're allowed to charge one lunch into the negative. And then they will remind the student to bring money the next day.
And do you know, this may be out of your purview, but so say a student at the high school tries 2 or 3 days in a row to get lunch and there's no money there and they haven't paid the balance. Does that get kicked over to a counselor or to an assistant principal? How is that, how are we making sure that that student shouldn't be on free and reduced lunch? And, you know, when you look at the high school numbers, we dropped to 26%, which is our lowest school, which really makes no sense if you think about it. So I think there's a large population of under-identified students there. I have a high schooler, so I know high schoolers don't want attention drawn to themselves and things like that. So I know it's a double-edged sword, but do we work with the guidance counselors? I mean, how are we ensuring that some of those students
We
don't fall through
we
the
will get
cracks?
calls from the guidance department up at the high school notifying us when a student comes in the building or what the status is. We really aren't, again, because of the regulations, are not supposed to share information about free and reduced to anyone. Yeah, no, it's supposed to be strictly confidential. However, we will send applications home with our letters that go to the families and encourage them to apply. Or if there's some other issue that comes up, we will get an application out to the family.
And my last question, do you have, and I don't need an exact number, but just a ballpark estimate, how much unpaid lunch balance do we have a year in the district?
At the present time right now, and this is including for, every family that is in the district, right now the lunch balance in the negative is about $4,000.
Which is obviously rolled into your budget.
No.
No.
Can't pay it.
No. So
So what happens to that?
the current balance right now is about $4,416 approximately. And that cannot be charged against the food service account. So the Board of Education picks up that amount at the end of each fiscal year. The board hasn't seen that amount to date because it hasn't crested the $5,000 required to put it on the purchase
Correct.
resolution. But that-
Anything under 5,000, correct?
Correct.
Interesting. So that cannot be absorbed in your budget?
No, I think it was probably about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that another USDA made a ruling
Sure.
about absorbing the bad debt. And so what happens is that many of the students' lunch accounts at the end of the school year, if they're in the negative, they cannot be carried, that debt cannot be carried into the next school year.
Got it.
So we have to wipe all of
Got it.
anyone in the negative to a zero balance.
Sure.
But they're saying that the school food authority, the school lunch accounts cannot be, I guess this department here, my department, cannot be charged for that bad debt. It would be up to the district if they would wanted to go and collect the bad debts from the families.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
JT, assistant.
JT?
Thank you again, for this presentation. I think this is good for us to understand. It also shows us a lot of need in the community, I'm just curious, and again, if you're not privy to the number, I notice we have free and reduced. We always kind of lump those two together and say, oh, free and reduced. But I notice we have a lot more free students, free lunch students as opposed to the reduced lunch. What's the threshold there? Are there income guidelines there for free lunch versus reduced lunch?
I can't
Okay.
name the exact, the income threshold. I can't tell you what that is. But
Okay.
what happens is with the free students, that many of the students that are on the free lunch program are directly certified because they're on food stamps. So we'll get a notification from the state with the full list, and then we directly certify them to free without even an application at all.
Right, and you said, I think we spoke about this earlier this year, maybe, was it Medicare Part D that would also?
Medicaid.
Medicaid, okay. So that would automatically pull the
And
student
that pulls the
and
students in
family
as well.
into
Right.
that
And so,
area.
yeah, so with those families, any family that's on that type of assistance, the SNAP program does not have to submit an application.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For all the
Thank you,
work put
Sandra.
into this.
Nicely done. The busiest restaurant in town.
Okay, next, moving on to approval of minutes. I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes. Workshop minutes, April 23rd,
Wait,
2000.
separately?
I am.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, I thought you were
yeah.
putting them all together, apologize.
Yeah, well, that's because I said it in the plural first, and now I'm down to the singular,
checking.
so you're okay.
Thank you.
So minute.
I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes, for the workshop minutes, April 22nd, 2019.
23rd.
23rd, yep,
So
April
moved.
23rd. And I'll second that. Those in favor? And opposed and abstained. Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes, April 23rd, 2019.
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Thank you, that's unanimous. And I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes, special meeting minutes, May 2nd, 2019.
So moved.
I'll second
Oh,
that.
Sorry, I was absent.
Okay, then I'll make the
You
motion.
make the motion, one second.
Can I have a second, please?
I will second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor? Opposed and abstained?
Abstaining, not opposing.
Okay, two abstentions. Okay, thank you, everybody. And now we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one item tonight. We are at work on our contribution to the town's plan of conservation and development, and we took the opportunity at our recent administrative meeting to talk about what our principals and our central office folks thought were the most significant challenges facing our public schools in the decade ahead. And here were the top 10. Number one, finding and retaining high-quality teachers, including attracting minority candidates and getting more men into our elementary classrooms. Number two, empowering students to be motivated, self-directed learners among the many competing interests and challenges in their lives. Number three, supporting an increased number of children for whom English is a second language. Number four, inadequate revenue, including reductions in assistance from the state and federal government. Number five, the impact of family crises, addiction, and mental health issues on parenting and child well-being. Number six, the growing number of children dealing with mental health and behavioral issues that impede learning, place demands on staff, and contribute to rising special education costs. Number seven, difficulty in engaging parents in the academic lives of their children. 8, access on the part of children to unsupervised technology. Number 9, promoting the well-being of our staff. And number 10, balancing the need for school security with the need to make schools warm and inviting at the same time. So a lot of thought there and an interesting challenge for the years ahead. I just thought I would share those insights with you. That's it for me.
Clarification?
Just, could we get a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Thank
I was
Happy to
gonna
do that.
ask the same thing. Thank you. Okay, as I mentioned earlier this evening, we still have some time to vote if you haven't yet. I urge, no, oh.
No, we don't.
I missed,
So you didn't vote?
20 minutes ago.
yeah, okay. Well, I hope you voted, and thank you for voting. We'll do it that way. But one thing about the budget, and I sent a memo to all of you with regarding the present situation with the ECS monies. Our budget was cut by the town council based on the governor's proposed cut in ECS funding. And since then, moving through committee, specifically the Appropriations Committee, $400,000 has been added back to New Milford. Now, it's still not law, it still hasn't passed, but that is an encouraging prospect for us. And should that be realized, as the town council minutes will reflect, the idea to return the money cannot go to our operating budget. We simply can't do that. But it can be added to our capital reserve account. And I would hope that that would be the case should there be an increase in the ECS funding for New Milford since the governor's proposed budget. The other thing that I'd like is to let everybody know that as far as our superintendent search is concerned, we are getting very, very close. We may be taking some preliminary and preliminary only action on that this evening, but we are all, I don't want to speak for you, but we're all very encouraged, let's put it that way. And we look forward to that. So thank you for that. Now we'll move on to the committee and liaison reports. And Brian, the facilities.
Yep. More roofs and, no.
Are they,
Actually, it was a very good meeting. We talked, a number of items came up for discussion. One was the Windows 7. I guess Microsoft Windows is no longer going to be supporting Windows 7. And that impacts us because our security cameras servers are on Windows 7. So we're going to have to upgrade a lot of our hardware and a lot of our security cameras
so you're
because of
talking
that.
capital expenses, huh?
We're talking capital expenses, let me finish, at the cost of $165,000 to upgrade all our security cameras and also our building management systems. That will hopefully come out of the year, at the end of year balance, which Anthony was pretty confident that we will be able to do that. It is time sensitive because it's January 1st, 2020 is when they're going to no longer support this. So it needs, and as most large projects, it needs to be bidded. It needs to go out to bid. So we'll be hearing about this again in June because it'll go. Also, there have been many meetings with the town with various energy companies, Celtic Energy, Smart Roof Solar, and JK Energy, and we're going to be talking to the town new building committees to see if we can benefit from some of these companies who are looking to reduce New Milford's energy consumption and spending. And also, we talked about the town building committee, and again, we're going to be looking to them for guidance on our roofs and the Sarah Noble oil tank. That's about it in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And operations, Wendy?
Okay, so we had a presentation, if you will, from Ed Advance, just their relationship with the town of New Milford and how we partner together and what they do for this community. And I think it was quite informative and very helpful to understand the history and what they offer and how we partner and how they partner with other vendors as well. So we appreciate that. We did have John Dufour came before the operations committee just to let us know that the bus company is being sold and that over the next 3 to 5 years there is a transition, everything is status quo, and we are not affected, but to thank us, for the relationship and just let us know that everything was still very much in order and that we didn't have to be concerned with any type of change. We have a contract that we'll be looking at this evening, and of course we have the monthly reports, which I'm not going to go into too much detail because when we put the motion on the table, I would hope that board members have some questions regarding that. Brian mentioned the end of the year balance. As we look at where we are right now, we're at 96.86 based on the operation minutes. And there was some discussion about an unexpected project that has come forward in which we have to consider. Based on where we are, it is not recommended that we could take on this entire project in the full scope of our end-of-the-year balance. It puts us in a very precarious position of leaving us with a number that could make us all very nervous. As you know, we cannot finish below. So we're going to take a look at that, watch that pan out. The goal is to break that component down and possibly fund that large expenditure out of some of our end-of-the-year balance, and then take a look at how we're going to finish it up, possibly through capital, or how we get that going along the way. So that was discussed, and as we get closer to roll down for the end of the year, we'll be going through those numbers. There was mention one of the line items for our projected shortfall and excess cost, just as everyone, a lot of municipalities are seeing some differences. We also have a shortfall in which we're looking to absorb in our operational budget in a line item. So we've been affected by that, and we've been made aware of it. So that's the financial piece. As usual, the PTO generously, their gifts and donations, can't do it without them. And we have 3 grants on for approval this evening. And of course, we have the food and nutrition services. We have the certifications. We also have a signatory change, and just for the change of account. And we did have an update on the agri-science agreement. There's no action on the agenda this evening. It was brought to operations just for informational. It's still a work in progress, and we're going to make sure that we're good with where we're supposed to be and what is understood of the board, and any our agreement and any type of financial impact, and where we're going with that. And then of course the discussion was with the end of the year balance. That's it.
Okay,
So I
thank
tried
you.
to be brief.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Tammy, policy?
Okay, so we have 3 policies that are on the agenda tonight for final review and approval by the board. It's 6146 graduation requirements, 6141.4 independent study, and 6172.6 virtual online course college and university courses. We had a robust discussion over the past 3 or 4 months regarding these policies. The highlights of our May meeting, Mrs. DeCorpo distributed a revision to policy 6146 based on comments made at the April board meeting for the committee to review as an alternative way to proceed. The suggestion was to reduce the 3 credits allowed for middle school that was previously proposed to 2 possible credits moving up from the middle school. These credits are still not factored into the high school GPA, just the credits would move up. And she also distributed a handout regarding criteria for middle school classes to kind of see that the curriculums do align with each other, middle school and high school curriculum. So the STEM cluster on page 6146C now only allows for 1 math credit from the middle school, and that would be for geometry. Page 6146E specifies a maximum of 2 credits possible overall. That would be the one for geometry and the one for world language, and that would be Spanish or French A and B only, not the conversational languages. And again, students must receive a grade of 80 or above to receive the high school credits. That didn't change. There was a request for data showing the credit range of the graduated class of 2018, and that is included in the board materials this evening, and will be discussed later tonight. Due to time constraints, all of our other policies that had been put on the agenda have been moved off, but the end is near, right? The end is near. And we will be able to move on to other policies that really need to come up for review. I just wanted to say before moving on that I am really proud of the work that we've done on these graduation requirements, and I thank Mrs. DeCorpo, Mr. Shagru, and all others who gave input, and the committee itself, for your thoughtfulness and diligence, and I look forward to our conversation later this evening about policy. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you.
Oh, and our next policy meeting is on June 4th.
Thank you. And JT, Committee on Learning.
I can be short here. Let's see. Committee on Learning, we see in tonight's agenda approval for the AP German Language and Culture curriculum. Nina Mooney gave us a great presentation as to the AP German program. I think that's a great highlight that we have here in New Milford. There are very, very few schools in the state that have a German program of our caliber, and especially for students to be able to avail themselves to AP German. We had a presentation and kind of a capture of the phonics program pilot. 2 phonics programs were proposed at both Hill and Clay and Northville teachers to dig into, and the Fontenay and Pinnell, right? Am I saying that right? K2, and they also reviewed there was kind of 2 teams that were reviewing 2 separate programs, and the other one was the K1 Columbia Phonics program, which is relatively new. What was interesting there is a good deal of teacher collaboration and feedback. I think it's really important that you were able to achieve that teacher buy-in, and it sounds like teachers were supportive of the Columbia Phonics program. Again, they looked at the K1 program, but it will be a K2 program, right? And it sounds like, while it's a phonics program, it doesn't necessarily tie into the Columbia Teachers College units of study. It would just be a product to help support the phonics program. And actually, it's interesting, the more overt instruction. I think that's something we all took away there. The overt instruction to phonics rather than the kind of a passive approach to phonics that we might have experienced it as students. We also dipped our toes into some of the graduation requirements and looped back on some of those conversations. But I think policy really takes the cake there, and that'll be the focus for tonight. I do think it's important for us to emphasize that some of the high school courses that are offered in the middle school are kind of cross-listed, and they're also aligned vertically. So I think it's important for us to realize that the algebra courses, the geometry courses that are at the middle school are the same courses that we offer at the high school. Same thing goes for the world language, although it's over 2 years instead of just a 1 year. So, so we did talk about that a little bit in Committee on Learning. So that's all I've got. Thank you, David.
Thank you. And Ed Advance, Eileen?
Ed Advance, as Wendy mentioned, Dr. Kitching came, and he's attempting to get around to all the districts, both to promote what they can do for us and what else we need for them to pick up for us. There's 29 school districts, 32 communities, and just from the fact sheet he gave us at the meeting, there was 34 different things that they offer, services they offer for districts here. Biggest thing I think New Milford does is we use the vans, the Ed Advanced vans, and their computer tracking system to collate people's and transportation, keeping costs down. They are now providing us, I guess, on-demand tech services when we need them. Is that what you call it? The part-time person comes here when we need it because we don't have our full tech service there. And the other thing which was very impressive was the price they got on the Chromebook, because they put their numbers together and they came up with a very nice number, didn't they? $50 and $7 for the licensing, which is much, much cheaper than anything else they could do. They're non-for-profit, and on the way in, Dr. Kishing whispered to me, said, we're still in the red, but we're less still in the red. And he expects that to turn around very soon with some of the opportunities that they are advancing. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Got that word advance in there, that was good.
And the Connecticut Boards of Education. As you know, we're still in a legislative session, and they're looking at I'm going to put some relief for the laws that are passed that are not funded, the unfunded mandates, and looking for ways to give schools relief in that regard so that legislators understand when you do this, it does actually cost a district in not just dollars, but in work hours. Also working, as I mentioned earlier in my previous comments, to increase aid in both cases for special ed and for educational cost sharing. Special ed in particular, which has never been fully funded since the program was instituted in 1972, which is just a remarkable thing, but we won't go there right now. And the other thing with CABE, they will be offering a variety of summer workshops for board members. If you would like to consider going to any of those, I was alerted that the offerings will be coming out soon, and if any of you want to attend, please let Mrs. Silverman know, and we'll make arrangements for you. And that's where we're at there. And then back to the magnet school. Eileen?
Magnet School, nothing really is going to happen till their annual meeting, which comes to the fall. So I would do an occasional call in, check in how things are going, but it's basically going to be their full meeting, which will decide the year's curriculum and budgets.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, under discussion and possible action, I'd like to have a motion that the board enter into executive session to interview and discuss the candidate for the position of Northville Elementary School principal, and invite into the session Dr. Stephen Tracy, Mrs. Elme Baldelli, Ms. Alicia DeCorpio, and the candidate.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Trish, you could hear that, right? Yeah.
Darn cord here.
had such a crowd at the beginning.
I know, I think they were afraid we're gonna be in there for 3 hours, so they all.
Oh, what nice news about the budget.
Oh, thank God, and it was really quick, right?
Yes.
But
Well,
what's interesting is the advisory question.
Now, did you get the results of that?
you got 'em?
So who voted for the town, no, and then these are the advisory questions. So who was the school? This is for like Northville. This is how many voted no, this is how many voted no. 183 said the budget was too high, 160 said it was adequate, and 195 said it was too low. And then in some of the other ones are a little bit off, but 105, so it's close. A lot of people are starting to
What's the bottom line? Is there a bottom line?
No.
Yeah.
I think it says it right here, so it's 920, 701, 749. So a lot of people.
That was too high, just about right, too low?
Exactly. So normally it's been like really.
Oh, yeah.
They're still saying they're passionate, but it's too low. They're saying passionate, but it's a lot of people.
Okay,
Not
at this point, I need a motion that the board approve the appointment of Ms. Gwen Gallagher as Northville Elementary School Principal effective July 2nd, 2019. 2019-2020 salary, $129,398, prorated start date.
So moved. Second. You can have it. You got it. You got it.
Any discussion? Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations.
Welcome.
There you are.
So who's the cheering section over here?
My husband and my son.
That's great.
Gwen, congratulations. Welcome to New Milford.
Thank you. I'm very excited for this opportunity. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Great, welcome.
Okay, and moving on to discussion and possible action. I need a motion to approve Exhibit A, personnel, certified, non-certified appointments, resignations, and leaves of absence as of May 21st, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Now, this is not the revised exhibit, right?
It is.
It is.
The coaching,
is,
the
yeah.
cheerleading.
It is.
No, the 2 dates. Yeah, May 20th.
I don't see the cheerleading coach on here.
I did.
Yeah, it's on it.
It's on the.
It's on it. There's resignations and then the appointment.
Let me get it.
You see it?
Dolly's not here.
No, I don't have my
Nothing.
copy.
Did you look for
Not
the
on my-
resignation or the appointment?
No, I see the resignations, but then there's an appointment.
Yeah, the one on the second page.
Oh, yep, no, sorry.
Everyone
See
down.
it.
Yep, you good? Okay.
Yep, got it.
All right.
We're good?
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. For monthly reports, I need a motion to approve monthly reports, budget position dated April 30th, 2019, purchase resolution D 722, and request for budget transfers.
So moved.
And I'll second that, and I'll open it up for discussion. Anthony, I'll start off. How are we looking for the end of the year? Are we going to, I know it's difficult at this point, but we don't see any cost overruns. That's where I'm going with this. Okay.
We have some line items.
Line items, I'm
But
talking
we're
in-
doing a minor adjustment. That was the 96% that was
Right,
discussed
yes.
at.
But we're not in any serious trouble, so to speak, hundreds of thousands in the red.
No.
Yeah, okay. No, I just want to make that clear. Okay, super. Any other questions, comments? Angie?
So the purchase resolution D 722, Canterbury School, is that the full payment for swimming? that's for ice hockey and swimming, or just for swimming?
Winter swimming and winter ice hockey.
Okay, so that's,
We've only seen this once, haven't we, Anthony?
so it is, but I just want to verify that it is for swimming and ice hockey.
Correct.
Okay.
Whether or not there was a payment in the fall, I'll double check and see if it's one of two or one.
But it's for both, and if we can just verify what the total amount for both is.
I can do that.
Right. Is that what you're looking, so you're looking
Yep.
for? Yeah.
Anybody else?
Just a clarification here. I know.
Where are you?
Oh, sorry, I'm on the revenue page,
Yep.
page 404,
Yep.
in the first, right, budget position. Excess cost and ECS, I just, for our own edification, they suffer from the same acronyms of sort?
Yes, and I know that's
Yeah.
very confusing, not just for us and for staff, but certainly for the public as well.
Right.
One's the aid and the other's for special ed.
So we never see ECS,
ECS,
educational cost sharing, come through here.
ECS
excess
goes to the
cost.
town
Goes to here.
coffers.
Right, so I know, but I'm just, for the public's knowledge, right? When David's talking about ECS being restored, that's not excess cost being restored.
No,
Education cost sharing.
It's
We
good to
don't
point
see
that
it.
out.
That's right, I'm just pointing
Yeah.
out.
Good to point that out.
Right.
and go ahead, finish.
So, yeah, when we have a year-to-date actual, this is special ed reimbursements, right? 70% of 4.5 times, right?
There's
So-
a deductible, yes.
Right. So, so we're short in that account. I'm just trying to.
Right, and Wendy, yes.
Well, we've had a reduction, and which is going to be offset by another line item, because there's only one place to make it up, in our operational budget. We've got to
Right.
pull it from somewhere.
Right.
So we go and we look at the line items and see that we are not getting the aid that we thought that we're getting. What the reference that you made to the town side, when David had made mention in his report, that type of adjustment, it's not going to come back in our operational budget.
That's right. That's right. And what was the reimbursement? Have we received both checks for excess cost?
No, we haven't. So
Okay, so there's a second one.
Yes.
And that's usually late May or?
Like, we're waiting for that.
And we had budgeted for a 70% reimbursement, is that right? Or did we get a little aggressive on there, 68, 70%?
I thought it was 60.
It was 70, I think we budgeted, right? Okay. So we'll see where that lands soon. That's all I'm just trying to understand, right?
I also just want to note that if you look at our private tuition line, there's a surplus there, and so when
That's
we
where
talk
we're
about
offsetting.
how much we spend
Right,
versus how
right.
much we get back,
Good.
it's an offset.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Angie?
The same page that we were just on, pay to play, is that pretty much what we're going to receive for the year?
Yes.
Okay.
Another one.
That has the spring sports in it.
$13,000 to $14,000 projected shortfall in that.
Right.
Talked about that, I believe, at the March meeting
Right.
last, and
Right.
what we're seeing here is that's holding pretty much true.
Okay.
13 to 14,000 short of what we anticipate.
Correct. That's what we projected 2 months ago, and right now that number's looking a little worse at
16,600. Yeah, because when we talked about it before, spring sport money hadn't come in yet.
And that's due to less participation.
That could be one of the factors.
We do have scholarships as well, but, we can certainly look at it. Any other questions or comments? Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
And Anthony, just thank you again for your
Thank you.
diligence throughout the year in managing a very complicated budget. The runway is in sight. We will land in the black. Thank you.
Liken it to, landing a 747 on the head of a pin.
Now you're scaring us.
As long as it's not a 737. So we're all set.
Nicely done, thank you.
Sorry, Boeing. Gifts and donations. I'm proud to ask for a motion to accept the gifts and donations, PTO, Exhibit B, in the amount of $5,165.20.
So moved.
And I'll second that. And as we acknowledged earlier, wonderful programs brought to us in a variety of fashions into all of our schools. Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, approval of the following curriculum. Need a motion to approve the following curriculum. German AP.
So moved? Second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Just a quick clarification. I brought this up at Committee on Learning. I just want to let the board know AP German language and culture, right? So all the AP languages have a pretty big cultural component in them. So I just wanted to make sure we noted that, maybe not necessarily on the agenda, but in the curriculum document, I think Alicia and I, we spoke about that.
Thank you. And those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to policies. I need a motion to approve the following policies. I'll go through them one by one, or do you want me, I can do them one by one, or we can throw them all together.
One by one.
One by one, please.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured. I need a motion to approve the following policy. 6146, graduation requirements.
So moved?
Second it.
Any discussion? Joe?
We have spoken about this extensively, so I'll try to keep it short. Which requires some clarification. On the cover page,
On the graph, is that what you're looking at?
Right.
Yep.
that's the number of students that have received 26 credits or more, or I'm having a little trouble interpreting it.
Yes, this is the 2018 graduation credits that were earned by the outgoing class.
Okay.
So at graduation, there were 52 kids that had 26 credits, but if you look at the chart, the majority of kids had 27 credits or above as they exited our high school.
Alicia, if you add those up, I know I did quick math here, which late in the day, I come up with 323 students. We graduated about 450.
That might be the point.
How many we graduated?
Last year, about 323. We had about 4 or 5 that didn't make it.
Didn't make it. By far, the majority had more than enough credits.
Yes.
And some had an incredible amount of credits.
Yes.
I still, and I spoke with Alicia about this briefly before, I'm sorry I can't put calls in a little more often. I did return a phone call.
Sorry?
I did return a phone call. I'll put a call in. To discuss this a little further, I still have issue with the transferring up of credits from 8th grade to 9th. And I'd prefer to see us have a minimum of 7 semesters instead of 6. I know there's very few students that are going to want to graduate at the end of 11th grade and go on. Part of it is a social balance for young people. I'll leave it at that. I could go on all night and it's already late. But my biggest, I'd like to see that we require them to be here through at least the first semester of senior year. And moving the credits up. Based on this chart, we're meeting our goal and exceeding it without bringing a single credit up from 8th grade. Our school system, we're accomplishing what we need to do. And for the most part, exceeding it. So, I don't know. I still have some issues with it.
Angie?
Yeah, and I know it's late and people want to go home. I won't belabor the point, but I will not be supporting this. I don't agree with many things in it. I appreciate all the work that you both have put into it. I do not think it's in the best interest of our students to do this. I think the 6 semesters is, I won't even get into that, but I don't agree with that. I think this chart here completely contradicts your argument, in my opinion. I think we see a lot of anxiety at the junior high and going into the high school. I think adding those credits is just going to be labored and add to that to the kids. And I can tell you, these credits were achieved easily. I have a senior this year, he has 28 credits, he has had at least one study hall, most semesters he's had 2. And I understand that it's a budgeting issue, that these kids, we don't have more offerings for these kids, and that's something hopefully we can work on in the future. But I don't think giving them more credit early on and not having anything to add to it in the end makes any sense to me at all. So I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Mr. Dahl?
You know, I remember the last board meeting, Wendy said we should look at this deeply. And I haven't said a word about this in a month, because I looked at it deeply.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, I think, and you know, my feelings originally were based on my educational process in the 70s. As I look at this policy, I think it gives parents and kids options that the old high school didn't. Policies, you know, what we did, 4 years in school, that's it. I've seen in my teaching career a couple of kids graduate early and use that next year as a gap year. A lot of research is coming out looking at putting a gap year in. And I think if a kid accelerates and can graduate in junior year and then use it as a gap year, or go out and look at a job, do some internships, or go to college and start it early. I don't want to, and this is just my opinion, be the person to say you can't do that. I don't think it's my responsibility. I think that's something that the parents and the child should be able to do. I think we should offer our kids the most challenging courses they can take, and we can reward them with the credits. It's 2 credits, it's not a lot. I remember JT said about the APs, you know, a lot of kids go to college with 5 or 6 credits in college already.
And more.
And more. So I'm really going to support this. Like I said, my original, a month ago I wasn't, but I listened to Wendy, like I always do. She's been telling me what to do. And I looked at it deeply. I talked to a lot of my colleagues that are still in education. And I think this is the best policy for kids.
I agree with you, and I don't want to be the person to tell a family, hey, I'm going to make your decision for you. I don't think that's right. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Shagru, how many students actually graduate early? Or whatever you want to.
You know, currently, I think this year we had 2 or 3. It's less than a handful every year. And I think the data supports that, where we have, you know, we have students that are meeting that exceeded the 26, but I think it also, that reinforces our position that students will stay for the 4 years and reap the benefits of high school. And it also, so I think it supports that, but I think this policy also supports the students that we talked about. We're here for all students, and we know that all students are not meeting this, and we have transfer students that haven't met it either.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm going to support this. I looked at it, did look at it deeply, because I was, and what I see is an opportunity for some of the kids who actually, believe it or not, are struggling, because it gives those kids another opportunity to get that language credit. If they don't get it in 8th grade, they don't get it in 9th grade, maybe they'll get it in 10th, 11th. You know, it gives them, those kids, that opportunity. And I've seen a lot of kids get tripped up just by that language possibility. So I support that. I support it based on that.
Ken?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand too that the kids who are in the higher track, the ones who get into the algebra class in 7th grade and go on to geometry in 8th grade, do not opt in. There is strict criteria that is used for them to move into those classes, and if a child or a parent does not want to be in that class, they can move backwards, but you can't petition for your child to be added into this class. So those kids are rightfully in those classes based upon their scores, their math test scores, and their report cards. And I do believe a lot of these kids rise to the challenge. And so when they get to high school and they see that an algebra course that they took and a geometry course that they took, they're not getting credit for, but somebody else taking it in high school is, I think that's very upsetting to them. Because it doesn't allow them to then take some other courses that I think that they would want to take when they're in high school to explore different career options. If they can get these credits out of the way, then it's explore these options in high school, it's a much less financial risk than finding out in in college, that you're in something that you may not necessarily like. So I do believe that it opens up opportunities. I believe that a lot of these kids are going to stay for their senior year. And I do believe that that is a conversation for a student and their parent to make. Personally, I would want my daughter to have 4 years in high school, and I don't think she'd want to graduate, early. But I don't think that's really our purview to make that decision for a family, and I wouldn't want to take that away from a family. I will be supporting this, and I do have to say that I love the pathways. I think that this is just such a great way for us to be moving to really set exactly a pathway, a course for students to get through high school with a clear idea of what they should be taking based upon what they want to do post high school. So I really thank you guys for the work, and again, I will be supporting this. I think it's a good policy. Thank you.
Eileen and then JT.
Okay. Excuse me. I like the idea of rising to a challenge, and this is challenging to get to these credits. I looked at the Dirks, and not everybody is that challenging in their graduation requirements, and I think we should be, and gives you a lot of opportunities, got different ways to get there, so I certainly will support this.
Thank you. JT? Wendy and Joe.
So what I think is kind of interesting, in the Public Act, we actually took a couple cracks in policy a few years back to look at the graduation requirements. We dug into them a little bit. We kind of played hands off. It's actually, this is one of the few things I'll say, if the state is actually doing pretty well, right? And affording the pathways and the flexibility built into those pathways, that's really not what we're discussing tonight. That's kind of set in stone. What's interesting, I think, is the pieces that we're deliberating and we've wrestled with through policy and through Committee on Learning over the past couple of months are really the latitude that's afforded us by Public Act 1742, right? The boards of ed can do these things, and I think the process has been really fruitful for us to sit around and talk about really the three things that are at issue, right? One is 26 to 25. I think as a board, we've always said we've been overcredited, and we see we're at 26, but we didn't never need to be at 26. We could have been at 20, right? There's some neighboring districts. Now other districts have to come up to 25. This is our opportunity to go back to 25, or go to 25. So I think that's one thing I don't think we disagree on. The 2 credits for middle school, the Public Act allows us 3. We're going to say, well, let's try 2, right? That's in our purview. That we're afforded that flexibility from the state Public Act. So that again is a local board of ed to do that, right? We could do 1, we could do 2, we could do 3. Let's try it with 2. We have courses that are high school aligned, like I spoke to before. And the other piece too is, the 7 to 6 semesters really just comes down to a number game. To get 26 credits, it was pretty darn hard to do in 6 semesters, right? So the reality was, students could take, 8 credits and then, 7 and 7 and get to that threshold with the mastery-based credit. That was something we didn't have anymore. Again, kudos to the state. I don't know if they're listening, I doubt they are, but kudos to the state for having a mastery-based credit that allows us to flex away from seat time, right? We have been so stuck with this Carnegie unit for years, right? So there's a lot of pieces of the graduation standards. I'm actually glad we waited, right? As a district, sometimes we wait a little bit longer, and then I think this has actually been good for us to wait to get to a place where we are discussing the things we have the purview of, but a lot of this policy is written by statute, right? Is by this state Public Act. So I'm going to support it as well. Again, we look at how many credits kids get for AP. Now we have, the state colleges, with 3, 4, or 5. We can have kids walking out of this school with a ton of credits that they can bring to any one of the state, Connecticut schools. We used to have kids at Naugatuck that would get credits. They'd bring them to Naugatuck, 8 credits over at Naugatuck, So I don't want to be the ones to say, well, no, you have to get your credits here in this building, or you have to, I think if you're taking the course, you should be getting the credit. So again, I would support it, but I think the things at issue here are really just on the margins, right? These are the small things. The big things that are in here, the pathways, I think this is all good stuff, and we got to try it. As a board, I think we have to try. to see how this is going to work, we can always revisit this. These are always going to be things that we can revisit. Thanks.
Wendy?
Yes, we can always revisit it. I think graduation requirements, when I mentioned that before, it's a very serious conversation. This is, this is the shaping of our students, and this is their timeframe. I won't belabor the point. I expressed this at several of the policy meetings. I had concerns over this for a variety of reasons. I'm not supporting it. I don't think we're ready for it. I disagree with the comment that we're raising the bar when we're lowering the credits to some degree. It has that attribute for some, but not for all. And I think that when we talk about giving someone a year to kind of get themselves settled, these are youngsters, that some of them, that they can use that time for a year. I haven't seen enough evidence to make me shift this much, so I won't support it.
Joe?
I'm out on the fringe, I guess, on some points, but I want to be very clear. The pathways are excellent.
Yep.
The curriculum is excellent. I'm very impressed with that, moving us forward. So I do have those marginal issues. It's saying that parents are the ones making the decisions, which we do for our kids, but every child in this district is bound by what this 9-person panel has been elected to do. And then, so therefore, it does fall to the 9 of us. I have no problem with the 25 credits, believe it or not, coming down one, because the majority, almost all our students in the last year, and I suspect the numbers aren't going to be a lot different in 2019, are meeting those requirements. We are pushing children to try and accomplish things perhaps at a younger age, and I think we sometimes go down a slippery slope, and that's why I have the issue with transferring up the credits. But for the majority of this, I do, it's well done, and I do agree with it, but I definitely am having trouble with it. Some of them are.
Anybody else? Those in favor? And opposed? 16, thank you. Okay, I need a motion to approve the following policy, 6141.4, independent study.
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Those in favor? And that's unanimous, thank you. And I need a motion to approve the following policy, 6172.6, virtual online courses, college, university courses. I'll move that.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Joe and then Wendy?
Oh, no, I'll defer.
This might be counterintuitive from the comments I just made, but I think this is great. The
Yeah.
opportunity to do some online courses when you're in high school.
I'll pass.
Any other discussions? Those in favor? And opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. And moving on to grant approvals. I need a motion to approve the Adult Education ED 244 grant in the amount of $108,109.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. And I need a motion for the IDEA 611 grant in the amount of $926,284 and the IDEA 619 grant in the amount of $32,887.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? JT?
Just a question, maybe Laura can answer this. Instructional salaries there, when we go through our budget, and even budget adopt for us too, when we go through the budget books to say, oh, here's the FTE that are grant funded, here's the FTE that are, board.
Big C on the right-hand side column is where you find those positions.
Okay, so this gives us some of the sense, the magnitude of how large these grants are. Thank you.
Those in favor? That's unanimous, thank you. I need a motion to approve Title III Immigration Grant in the amount of $48,501.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion?
briefly.
Yes.
I'd like to thank the administration for bringing this grant to us. This is a new grant, is it? And this was called to our attention, so we're always appreciative of seeking those out. Every little bit counts, so thank you.
Just want to second what she said. I agree. No, I was.
We sit on the same committee.
I was going to say the same thing.
Very well.
Thanks to Mr. Corporal for going
Yeah.
after. This was a
Yes.
competitive grant.
Yep.
This is not a gimme entitlement.
Right.
So, thank you.
Those in favor? And that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, healthy food certification. I need a motion that the New Milford Board of Education continue its participation in the National School Lunch Program and pursuant to Section 10-215F of the Connecticut General Statutes, certify that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or by non-school organizations and groups.
So moved.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for not asking me to repeat that. Any discussion? JT?
Clarification?
Yes.
This is something we discussed last year. Is this
Yes.
a renewal every year?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Those in favor? Those opposed? And thank you. And the food certification exemptions for school fundraisers. This will answer your question, JT, I think. I need a motion that the New Milford School Board of Education allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet Connecticut nutrition standards, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food items are not sold from a vending machine or a school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held.
It's quite a motion.
Move it.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll
Any
defer.
any discussion?
I moved it. I moved it.
And Brian was the second.
Any discussion?
Clarification?
Yes.
That's the same wording we did the last time around, correct?
Correct. Correct. And we'll have one more right after
Yep.
this. Oh, we'll have to take a vote though first.
Yes.
Those in favor?
Is-
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. I need a motion that the New Milford Board of Education allow the sale to students of beverages not listed in Section 10-2221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sales in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the beverages are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. The school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food sales.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Could you just repeat some of that? I missed it.
Read it in a minute. Any further discussion? Those in favor? And that's unanimous, thank you. Okay. I need a motion to approve the authorization of signatory on school district accounts Exhibit D revised.
So, I'll second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Just a quick note here that we'll have a similar revised next month to account for the.
Yes.
This evening.
Yep, this evening's appointment.
Well, it won't be until the June meeting that will.
Right, that's next month.
Okay. I knew that. Those in favor? I can do that.
Dave, those of us who are still teaching know what month it is.
And how many days are left, right?
I need a motion to approve the MOU between the New Milford Board of Education and CEA New Milford dated 5/6/19, and to authorize the board chair to sign the memorandum on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
I'm assuming all of you have had a chance to look at that. Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. And end of the year balance, I think we kind of hinted at, but Anthony,
Anthony,
would you like to elaborate on the end of the year? I know we've hinted at it, and we're definitely not in the red.
Say no, Anthony.
If they have any questions on it, there's the historical on the back, and that dovetails right into the next one, which is the end of year projects,
Right.
where I restate the end of year projection.
Right. Okay, any questions on that?
this is merely a projection. As we work down, we'll have those conversations. We'll
Right.
further that conversation at operations, and as we wind down, we'll take a formal motion, what we'll do with any possible end-of-the-year balance.
Right, because we have some pretty high-ticket items there to upgrade. Thank you. And end-of-the-year projects, is everybody comfortable with that?
There's no action.
Right. No, just,
I have a question.
yes.
So do we have,
I made a motion on that. Mr. Lawson, we did have a motion on end-of-year projects for your consideration.
Yes, we do.
We're acting on that?
Well, we can. It's up to the board's purview.
So if you want to look at the end of the year projects memo on the back side of it, in the conclusion area, I know there's a lot of information about both projects there. What we're looking for is the board to consider designating an amount of $165,000 for the security camera equipment at those 3 locations, Windows 10 licensing. We're asking for the go-ahead to designate those funds from the fiscal year imbalance now, because we would be needing to post this item for bid, and it would be awarded at the, it would come to operations in June and be awarded at the full board on June 18th. We're looking for, from the board, authorization to go ahead and incorporate this project into our fiscal year end, using our fiscal year imbalance, because we do need to go ahead and post it for bid. You will get the chance at the June meeting to approve the bid award, but with the project at this dollar amount, it needs to be bid. We're looking for authorization to designate from fiscal year imbalance 165 for that particular project, which we would then bid.
Clarification.
Absolutely.
So if, at the June meeting, the board, after the bid has gone out, the board doesn't have to award the bid.
Correct.
So,
This is conditional, so to speak.
right, oh, I know. And it was discussed at facilities, and then it was brought to operations. I was unaware we were taking a motion. That's my fault. I didn't realize that we were asking to actually push that forward. But you bring out a good point, that we don't have to actually award that bid should something change.
You're designating this dollar amount from fiscal year imbalance.
This is, should the board move forward with this, that we've fulfilled our time frame to do this.
Right.
This is really just a safety net to cover ourselves timeframe wise.
Yeah, if
And
we
then-
don't get started now, we will
Right.
run out the clock on
And to that
ourselves.
point, when the overall total expenditure was outlined, we were cautioned about trying to do the total expenditure because we just don't know where we're gonna go. So this is a way of capturing the timeline and getting that taken care of too.
Right, for the first project.
That's what I mean.
The
Yep.
security
Yep.
camera equipment. And there's a recommendation for a second project on there as well,
But we're not doing that.
which, well, that's for the Hill and Plain floor. So we're just bringing this up now, that this, if we're given authorization to designate that 25,585 from our fiscal year-end balance. This would appear on the purchase resolution next month. This does not have to be bid. You'll be able to vote on it next month through the purchase resolution, but we wanted to give you a heads up ahead of time. This is not one that you need to go out and bid. It's with a proprietary system through Siemens. I'm sorry. Mr. Monroe, can you help me?
Sure, absolutely.
Yep.
The abatement project follows the AHURA guidelines by the state, and the vendor that we use is Fuss and O'Neill, and they're on the state contract for these services.
Angie?
Clarification about that. So have we asked the state, are we waiting on a determination from the state whether those monies can be used from the food and nutrition funds for the floor?
So further up in the memo.
Yeah, I read that, but I mean, it's not like we're putting hardwood floor down, we're just abating the floor that's there. So I don't see how we're, you know, appreciating the value or extending the life. We're just making it compliant. So have we asked the state?
I did not ask the state.
Okay, can we do that? Because I really feel like this should fall under that.
I can definitely do that.
Legal.
Well, if it's the state that has the authority, I think we should ask the state.
And does that need to, is that something that's time sensitive as well?
Well, we have time between now
Yep.
and the June board meeting
Right,
to get that on a purchase resolution.
correct.
So just to
So
be
can
clear,
we-
you're not asking for that recommendation to be approved tonight. Is that accurate?
No, they are.
They are.
You are
Yeah.
asking it to be approved tonight.
That's why I'm thinking, David, could you reread the
look-
motion?
Yes.
I want to make sure
It includes-
Anthony gets a chance to answer that
I
question.
think we should separate them.
Yes, I think we can do that, okay? Does anybody have, Pat, do we have anybody who made the motion?
No one has made the motion. The motion we had was just to approve the end-of-year projects as recommended, but it sounds like would like to vote on it
I
separately.
think there's a concern that the projects.
Yeah, we'd like to split
One of
them.
them
Okay.
possibly is not time sensitive that we could address next month. Is that correct on the floor?
True, both of them can be addressed next month, but on the first one for the
That's
security
what I'm
camera
referring to.
one,
We need to
do
get the bid
to
out there,
bid it.
exactly.
We do need to bid it. You can then choose at the June board meeting to not award the project, but we need to go ahead out and post the bid first.
So
Well-
if you bring that motion forward and this board approves it, between now and June, if we have an answer to that question, we don't need to go ahead with that project.
Specific to the Hill and Plain floor?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
You do not have to go ahead with that project because it does not have to be bid right now.
Exactly.
And it would be on the purchase resolution through operations and the full board in June. So that
Is that
answer can be
helpful?
researched between now
Yeah.
and then.
Okay.
Well-
So the motion would remain the
Right.
same, and that if we were to do this, the motion would remain the end of the year projects as outlined. And with the further information, number one, we're gonna go out to bid because of the time. And number two, with regards to the floor, should information be brought back that there's some other way of funding it, we don't have to do it.
Fair enough, yeah.
Does that give you what you need to do, Kevin
that
and
work?
Anthony? Okay.
I got it.
So we don't have a motion on the floor yet.
Okay,
I'll move it.
thank you.
I'll
Thank
second.
you.
Any further discussion?
They're not trying to complicate
No.
anything, but I think we also want to capture the fact that school is ending early this year. All that much more time, I know it's not a ton of time, but for end-of-year projects to happen pre-June 30th. But I'm a little nervous because we only have 2 projects here that might even avail themselves. Maybe not even both of them, it's just one thing.
If I
There's
may,
others.
although,
There's others.
although not being funded by our,
Right. Operating budget.
the roof here,
Okay.
it will be a project, hopefully during the summer too, that will be, from my understanding, bonded to take care of that. So we do have other projects, some are under our purview, some are not.
Right, but I'm just talking about the operating budget.
Right.
Up to June 30th.
Sure.
And if we do have a, 0.68% of our budget is unexpended, could we have tried to capitalize on some of
Sure.
that time? That's just what I'm asking, you know?
Yes, with the recommendations here, if we were to
Do both of them from our operating budget, that would bring us down at the bottom of the number to a 0.37%, roughly. So that's revising on the front to 0.67, to bring us down to a 0.37.
Okay.
No, I
Those,
got it.
those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, the 1920 budget. Wendy, did you want to make any comments?
But on the budget?
Yeah, it passed.
It did pass. The budget passed the town and the board.
Yes.
And we are very appreciative that at least we have that number and know, now,
Yes,
now
now
we
we-
have some very difficult decisions.
Decisions, but we do have some guidance on
We do.
where we're going.
On that point, Mr. Chairman, I'm already for some time at work with our principals and my central office colleagues on getting to that $602,000 reduction. And I understand that the practice here has been to bring that final adjustment to you at your June meeting. Is that the expectation?
Well, we can discuss it in committee first, and some board members may have some input
Okay.
for you as well. And yes, we can make the adjustments at that time. We may want to wait a bit, but we can certainly do it.
Okay, well, I just wanted you to know that we're already working on it.
Great, thank you. And field trip report. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, I need a motion that the board enter into executive session to discuss a successor collective bargaining agreement between the New Milford Board of Education and the United Public Service Employee Union, UPSEU, representing the New Milford Board of Education paraeducators, Local 424, Unit 107, and to discuss possible contract terms of employment of a new superintendent, and to invite into the session Dr. Tracy, Ms. Elme Badelli, and Mr. Anthony Giovanni.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, no.
Those in favor? Thank you.
Is that a goodbye way?
Yeah, we,
Beautiful weather.
right above the holiday, train display, that is such an amazing trip. I took my class there this year and I survived it, so
All right.
I'm still here.
I need a motion to approve the successor collective bargaining agreement between the New Milford Board of Education and the United Public Service Employees Union, UPSEU, representing the New Milford Board of Education paraeducators, Local 424, Unit 107, as discussed in executive session, and to further move that the board delegate to the chair the authority to execute said agreement on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Excuse me.
That's unanimous. Thank you. I need a motion that the board authorize the board chair and the board's legal counsel to negotiate with Dr. Carrie Parker the terms and conditions of a proposed draft contract of employment as superintendent of the New Milford Public Schools in accordance with the draft terms discussed in executive session.
So moved.
And further move to authorize the board's legal counsel in consultation with the board chair to draft a proposed contract of employment as superintendent of New Milford Public Schools, subject to board review, approval, finalization, and signature.
Second.
Those in favor? Thank you, that's unanimous. And could I have a motion to adjourn? Any discussion? Okay. Those in favor?
Who seconded?
When's our June meeting?
Wendy did.
15?
Carrie, spelling,
Kerry.
Why?
My daughter's gonna go Southern New Hampshire.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're- Yes, and it's spelled same way. Well, you never know.
21st?